Yes, welcome a very wet evening, Wednesday evening in some sections of the corporate area and the country. But nevertheless, wherever you are, in JA or in the global village, good afternoon and welcome to Rebel Radio. I am Desmond Richards, your host. And we have, as usual, a plate full of nourishing information for you from all over the globe. We are going to kick off the program this evening by with SSP Stephanie Lindsay, and we're going to be talking to Dr. Peter Phillips, Dr. Peter Phillips. We are going to be talking to the former Minister of National Security. You know, Dr. Phillips occupied that post. And then we are going to be talking to John Richards in the section called Talking Investment. We are going to be talking to real estate developer John Richards, and he's going to be telling us about his plans to build out Jamaica. And then later on, we'll turn our attention to food security. Now, Jamaica, I'm repeating this, is in a precarious situation. Not only Jamaica, but I'm talking about my country. The food situation in the world is getting worse. And as the war between Russia and Ukraine continues, it is expected that food is going to be, I believe, food might be weaponized. And even if it does not, it is going to be scarce. And therefore, I expect our authorities, the farmers, to get serious. Let us start plant some food. I know that, for example, the UNIA has a lot of liberty farms across the country, and they are putting food into the ground because they sense, like a lot of us, that we are going to be having some problems. But let us start with the social problems that has been dogging this country for more than 2 decades, and I'm talking about crime and violence. Over the weekend, there was a massacre in Spring Village in St. Catherine. Now, I think that is what happened there last week, Friday, is open terrorism. Here were a group of people watching a football match in broad daylight, only to be attacked by gunmen. And 3 people were gunned down. I think over 7 were shot. Now, this is a continuation of the bloodletting in the country, all over the country. And nowadays, what we are seeing is the shootings, the fatalities are moving in the double figures. 2 and 3. Now, this is open terrorism. Now, shoot to kill, as the security minister pointed out last week, and he defended his position on this program, I don't think is the answer. But we are going to have some discussion now to find out what the police are saying about this. By talking to SSP Stephanie Lindsay. Now, she is the person with the voice. She's the voice of the police force. She knows all that is happening. SSP Lindsay? Hello? We have to try and get her back. Yes, but as I was saying, that the what I call terrorism, domestic terrorism, this is. and it is growing. The guns are everywhere. And the gunmen are not afraid to use their guns in broad daylight. In central Kingston, in Westmoreland, all over the country. Now, the entire nation must be concerned about this. And can you imagine those residents in those communities where these gunmen are running rampage? Can you imagine what is their state of mind? People are trembling in fear. Now, the authorities must do something. I am open, I'm looking, I'm searching and looking, watching to see what new tactics they are coming up with. Because I cannot see them using those tactics being used for 60 years. Because they have resulted in over 45,000 murders in the country. So it must be time for new thinking, new strategies. And I go back to previous comments and previous research findings. We have to address the social problems in the country. We have to address those. Unless, yes, SSP Lindsay? Hello? Hello? Yes, are you hearing me, SSP Lindsay? Hello?
I'm hearing you, but I'm hearing you, but it's breaking up.
Okay. Well, let me try something else then. If are you hearing me better now? Are you hearing me clearly? Hello? No, that is not working. Let us try another method to get SSP Lindsay. This is we're having a technical issue right now, but we are trying to straighten it out. I don't know why I really want to get SSP on the line, but it is being worked on. It is being worked on. So let us, but as I said, I sincerely hope some new strategies, the authorities will turn to some new strategies in order to address this problem, because certainly we cannot continue with these strategies that have been used over the years, because I don't think we are getting the results from it. SSP Lindsay. Hello? Yes. As I said, we have to try some new strategies. Well, coming up in shortly, we'll be talking to the former National Security Minister, Dr. Peter Phillips. And, he sat in the high seat for a number of years. We are still trying to get SSP Lindsay. Technical problems, we are still trying to iron them out. Yes, as I said, coming up later, we will have a discussion with Dr. Peter Phillips, the former opposition leader and national security minister. And we hope to, unravel his thoughts and minds on what is happening on the crime front. He had to deal with it at one. Yes, SSP Lindsay?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, the devil, the technical devil went in our way a while ago, but I'm glad that we were able to push him aside. And welcome to Rebel Radio.
Oh,
No,
Rebel Radio. Thank you.
yes,
My first time on
yeah,
Rebel Radio.
yes, of course. You know, I was just commenting on the what I call the massacre in Spring Village because I see that as a clear evidence of domestic terrorism. Now, what is the latest on that matter, SSP?
Which one? Is there a specific matter you're referencing?
Yeah, I'm talking about that shooting out in St. Catherine there over the weekend.
Oh, that's very unfortunate and senseless situation because we're still trying to make sense of it and it's not making any sense.
Yes.
What we know is that there was a friendly match between staff members
Uh-huh.
of the company. It was their interdepartmental match they were having on their private property. But I guess because they're part of a community, so community persons were allowed to watch the match.
Uh-huh.
So based on what the investigators are picking up is that one person or two persons at that match probably was in conflict with other individuals, and they saw him at their match and went there and just fired shots indiscriminately.
No,
At the end of it, 9 persons were shot, 3 died, to include 2 of the staff members. So it was a very unfortunate situation that nobody even saw coming and could have even prepared for.
yeah. The reports that we have, SSP, is that the guns, the missing guns were part of the reasons for this deadly shootout. Do the police have that?
Yeah, that's what we're getting. So we understand that the conflict that they were having among their members is as a result of some guns that went missing. So the individual or one of the individuals who they thought is responsible for the disappearance of those guns was actually spotted.
Mm-hmm.
And then they decided that they were going to use that opportunity to get at him.
Yes. But
so the other persons who were shot and killed and those injured weren't the persons that were deliberately targeted.
That is what I understand too. So this is an act of terrorism, Sinasu. People
I don't know if it reaches the stage of terrorism, but I can tell you that it's just a violent act. It's a violent act because people are just acting without any consideration for other people, without any consideration for consequences. They are just acting out of the ordinary.
Yes. And I observed that increasingly we see where the shootings now have stepped up in that you have double murders more frequently, triple murders. So it is clear to me that there's a change in pattern among the criminal gunmen.
Because what you find is that in the past, people want to, in conflict with persons, they target the individual and they would get at them. We see where more persons are having access to guns, and I don't think they don't even understand the use and the care of those guns. They're just firing shots. Yes. They are using even more deadly weapons. So first time you used to see a lot of persons with mainly handguns. Sometimes you're seeing more people, more incidents where you have high-powered weapons, and in those cases you find that you have multiple deaths and injuries. Mm. Although in the case on Sunday they were mainly handguns. Uh-huh. And I think those persons, there are certain persons who really don't like people to call them criminals because they say they weren't convicted for a crime. Yeah. But I don't know anybody else who behave that way other than people who have criminal intent and commit criminal acts.
Yeah. SSP, how many people, what is the murder statistics to date in Jamaica?
All right. So I looked at it and I think it's 1,000. I think 1,007. 1,000.
1,007.
No, I say 1,123.
Okay.
And of that number, and what's driving the number, that's about 81 more than the same period last year, mm-hmm. or a 7.8% increase.
Yes.
But then one of the things that Commissioner addressed it about 2 months ago at one of his monthly press briefings, where when you look up from that number, off that number, you have 79 double murders in that.
Wow.
13 triple murders, 2 quadruple murders and 1 quintuple murder. So that alone, 79 plus 13, over 100 of those, making up that number, are multiples. So if we weren't seeing those multiples in terms of deaths from single incidents, we would be way behind the numbers that we were last year at the same time.
Yes. No, this is frightening. This is frightening. And, SSP, the citizens are frightened. Citizens are frightened. Everywhere I go across this country, people express fear about what is happening now. Is it fair to say that the police are overwhelmed with this spate of shootings?
I'm not sure if it amounts to overwhelmed, but from where we stand, I mean, we continue to see these shifts.
Yes.
Because we plan and we strategize and we prioritize and we utilize the resources, and then you set a plan, and then when you see the thing move out of the norm, because normally this area would not be an area that you would put hotspot policing and a lot of police officers to secure a friendly match. So you have your resources now in areas that are areas of concern, but when they shift now, so you find that what the criminals are actually doing, they're looking for the opportunity. So when you put in your policing strategy and you start clamp down on some things and you're having some success, then you find that they also they are planning their own strategy as to how to counter that now. So they shift their mode of operation. So it's not that we're overwhelmed, but I can tell you that it's the violent nature of the incidents that we just can't come to terms with. It's not something that we are comfortable with. We are concerned about it. We try to do in many instances. As a matter of fact, this year we have seized more guns than we did last year. We are looking at a record number of high-powered rifles and weapons that we are seizing this year compared to the last 5 years, which is an indication that even as we are taking off more guns, people still have a lot of illegal guns out there.
So more has to be done in blocking the holes used to bring in those weapons into the country, SSP.
Yes, it's true, but and that within itself is a challenge, because as an island, and when we have over 140 unregulated ports of entry, where people can speak in at different points and bring in guns, and that is why we are really pushing and urging the legislators to quickly get the new Firearm Act passed and ready for use, because not that it is a silver bullet that's going to quickly allow the guns to disappear. But as it stands now, the consequences for having illegal guns are not so severe, so it's not a big deterrent.
Okay.
So I believe that when a person knows that I have an illegal gun, that I make a decision to have in my possession with the intention to kill people or to injure people or to create robbery and other crimes, I made those decisions to have that gun. So whenever you're caught, you look at a very long prison term that's mandatory.
Okay. What is your take on suggestions that all able-bodied, law-abiding citizens should be harmed? What is your take on that?
Well, I would want to say that law-abiding citizens that are qualified and are responsible and have the right temperament, and because having a license firearm, is a big responsibility.
Of course.
So you can't. So the person must be sober, must check off all the boxes.
Yes.
And to have the good temperament, and also you know that when you have a gun, now, a gun can give you this false sense of power and authority.
Yes.
And so on, that you can even overexpose yourself, and then criminals will take advantage of the situation and have more guns ended up out there in the illegal network, because a person who was allowed to have a legal gun did not act responsible. So it's not just every law-abiding citizen, because there are law-abiding citizens that I would not entrust with a gun.
Okay.
But persons who really check the box and qualify, they could be considered and should be considered, I think.
So once we set up the tests and persons who pass the tests, then they should be harmed. They should.
I don't know if it's just a test. I don't know what they.
When I said test, what I mean is that there should be an established standard.
Yes.
And once applicants pass that standard, satisfy all the qualifications and prerequisites, then they should have their gun licenses. You agree with that?
Yeah, there's a process where people who are qualified with beyond the shadow of a doubt, they have checked all the boxes, then there should be a process that they could have their weapon because they're having for their own protection. So I think if you can protect yourself and do it very well, then the risk and as well as your ability to respond is better than somebody who is not in a position to defend oneself, because self-security is very, very important.
SSP,
so once the person qualifies,
yes, I
have no issue with the position.
SSP, I know you have a busy schedule, and I don't want to take up much more of your time, but how could I let you go from Rebel Radio without asking you? So do you support the shoot to kill policy?
But I mean, I was at the function, so I don't. That was not what the minister said. That was not what the minister said. And I'm not going to join this list of persons who are misinterpreting or sensationalizing what the minister said and the essence of what he said. So
he didn't use those words.
No, he did not use those words. He did not use those words.
Oh yes, he didn't say police must shoot to kill.
No, he didn't use those words.
Wow. So that is a gross misrepresentation. I wonder who fabricated those words and put them in the minister's mouth.
I know that you are an ace. I know you're an ace journalist, so I know that you could do your own investigation. You know, I heard him speaking today, and he did say that somebody was asking him about retracting. Said, "I'm not going to retract what I didn't say." You know, it was the essence. It's at the point that commissioner, because when you look at what is happening in the society, we can't continue to ask our police officers to take a particular position and to take a particular action in an environment where our criminals have no qualms about killing police officers if the police officers are not prepared to defend themselves and do it very well. They have no qualms about going into a football field with children and just innocent staff people and just firing guns, killing people and injuring people. So it's not a situation where we are acting in an environment where we have normal people who behave normal. Our criminals, they don't behave normal, they don't behave rational, and they are very violent, and they love guns, and there's just this a culture of violence. So if you notice, over time, police fatal shooting has been declining.
Yeah, I see that.
Likewise, police killed in the line of duty, that has also declined.
Yes.
Over time, you have seen where we have less reports of police shooting and we have innocent persons ended up as casualties.
Mm-hmm.
Those are not mere coincidence, you know. Yeah. It is a direct response to the improved training of our officers in the use of force, deadly force, shooting. We have a very strict and robust recertification regime where we have to go to the range and we have to shoot and pass and requalify and recertify annually and biannually. So we have a program. Every time we go, we have at least once a year, we have to go through a resensitization of our use of force policy. So nothing that is happening now is by choice. And like my commissioner likes to say to the officers is that every time you get into a gunfight with a criminal,
yes,
the police should win.
Yes,
because we have the superior training.
SSP, I think there is universal consensus around that, you know, that members of the security forces must act in self-defense. And if it results in fatalities, I don't think anybody is questioning that. But to have a policy, I think it is a dangerous thing for the state to have a policy to shoot, to kill. It is that I think.
Again, Mr. Richards, you are going back to saying something that was never said.
But I had the minister on this program, and he didn't say that. He said it was taken out of context. That's what he told me on Rebel Radio. But anyway,
you can go back and listen. You can go back and listen to the presentation because I was there when he spoke, and you understand. So
okay,
you have to. I'm not going to subscribe to using exact words that is quoted as said by the minister and attributed to the minister when I was there and I didn't hear those words.
Okay, so, SSP, I am not going to labor you with that. I just want to thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on Rebel Radio. And I want you to know that the doors at Rebel Radio are wide open to you.
Okay. And Mr. Richards, I know you're sending me off, but I just want to say, because I know you have listeners and viewers, to say that a lot of persons are concerned and a lot of persons are fearful. I mean, in the main, the level of violence that we are seeing in Jamaica is really not directed at the average person.
Yes.
It's mainly youngsters. Most of the killings that we are seeing is around young. Even what happened on Sunday, even though it's not the people that were injured were not a part of it, but it was a result of a gang conflict.
Well, that is the dangerous part, because the shootings are not confined to the. In other words, it's just wild we're shooting.
And that is not the norm. That is not the norm that we have been seeing.
Yes.
So I mean, Sunday incident was a little different, which gonna take me to a point where a lot of the people who are killing people and are causing the deaths of individuals at the community level, these family members or associates.
Yes.
There are people who know that they have guns, illegal guns. There are people who know that they are out there committing all kinds of acts against other people.
Okay.
And they only raise an alarm when it is committed.
Okay.
So it is a stance that we are begging the society to say, look here, all of us have to be mindful that when somebody in your community or in your family has a gun, you're not safe.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, SSP. Have a good night.
Good night.
Yeah. That was Senior Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay of the Police High Command. She's a police spokesman, and she brought us up to date on the killings and what the police are doing to address that matter. This is Rebel Radio. I'm Desmond Richards. Stay tuned.
Wanted to share what you know about a crime, but were too afraid? At Crime Stop, we make it easy for you to report on crimes safely and 100% anonymously. All it takes is 4 simple steps. First, contact the tip line at 311 or visit www.crimestop.org or www.311tips.com. Then share what you know anonymously with one of our trained counselors. Any information related to criminal activity is accepted. We don't want to know your identity. We don't record calls or use star 69. And there is no way of tracing tips over the phone or online. You'll also be given a file number for your tip. Next, track the progress of your tip by calling our tip line at 311 and quoting your file number. Finally, if your tip leads to success, you will be eligible for a cash reward. Rewards will be paid out upon request through a trusted disbursement agency with verification process to ensure that your identity remains hidden. Share what...
Welcome back to Rebel Radio. This is the voice of the people, and we're coming to you live from Rockfort in the East. We are going to be talking to the former National Security Minister and leader of the opposition, Dr. Peter Phillips. This is a man who has some credits. Our credits have been attributed to him for smashing the drug gangs. Dr. Phillips, good night. Hello? How are you? Hello?
Yes.
Yes,
How are
sir.
you?
Well, I am supposed to be okay. How are you?
I'm giving thanks.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to welcome you to Rebel Radio, you know. This is the voice of the people. And we want to start by asking you, you know, we know that you are no longer in the firing line, but what is your take on the current crime situation in the country, being a person who has occupied that hot seat for years?
Well, I think all of us agree, the entire country, all the people of goodwill, agree that murders and violent crimes in particular are at unacceptably high levels, and that it is a blot on the country's social reality, and certainly is really setting back the progress of the country.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. But what do you think about the strategies? You know, we have been trying, we have been putting a lot of resources in crime fighting in this country over the last 60 years, a lot. But Dr. Phillips, what do you think of the current strategies that are being used now? You don't think it's time to change gear?
Well, I think that over the years, going back 2, 3, 4 decades, all the elements of a viable national crime control strategy have been tried and are in place, maybe not in their entirety, but all the various aspects are there, you know. But part of what we have had as a difficulty is that the country, maybe because of political divisions or because we just tend to be unthinking, we have ended up not sustaining our efforts with a generally accepted strategy for the long haul. And so there are elements that we practice and then we let it go, you know, whether it was the kind of social outreach programs that were tried in the Portia Simpson administration, or whether it is some of the other elements of a strategy that involved the engagement in the schools that were abandoned later on, whether it was the lessons learned from Operation Kingfish that was successful at the point in time and then subsequently abandoned. I think what we need, and truthfully, the Chamber of Commerce and Mr. Lloyd Distant, who spearheaded the crime management oversight committee and that overarching crime approach to crime control, need to be commended, because what we need is a general strategic plan and that can engage everybody. And I just don't mean the two parties now.
Yes.
I mean private sector, trade unions, community organizations, neighborhood watch, all people of goodwill to play their part so that we can isolate the criminal element, get good intelligence, clean up the police force, and the overtime and our other security forces, and develop a strategy that the well-thinking country of the people can commit to.
Okay. So you would agree that we need to skim out the political tribalism from crime fighting?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And yes, there is one other thing that Dr. Phillips, members of parliament in their constituency, they know their runners, they know their PD captains, they know Mass Tam and Miss Jane. Now, you want to tell me that they don't know the troublemakers in their constituency? You are a sitting member of parliament. Is that your experience?
Put it this way. MPs know some and they don't know others, Sometimes you can't know the activities of other people. But I don't believe that based upon experience, that the police and the other security forces don't have access to good intelligence. I don't believe the number of people engaged in badness, so to speak, is all that great.
Yeah.
And I think that there is access to good intelligence if you spend the effort and you have a good intelligence gathering mechanism. Yeah, I don't think you have to particularly rope in MPs or anybody into it. Some of the MPs may themselves be the problem.
Right. But you say they have access, and meaning the security forces have access to good intelligence. But have we seen the results of that?
At various points in time we have. And at various points in time we haven't.
So there's an inconsistency then?
Yes. And that's the whole issue of police reform, to ensure that, your intelligence gathering mechanisms are trustworthy, are watertight, that information doesn't leak from it, and that the monies that are spent on intelligence gathering give you a good return.
Yes.
There are systems. I mean, like if you have covert informants, there can be covert informants that belong to a policeman. They must belong to the force. And the force must have appropriate mechanisms to protect the identity of those informants and to share the necessary intelligence as it comes around. I mean, there's a lot of work in these areas that had to be done. I can't tell you, what the current state of a lot of that intelligence gathering operation is now. But, I do know that modern policing is all intelligence driven.
Right.
That's the heart of it. I do know that most crime, including the violent crime that we have here, is organized crime, that is to say, crime that is taking place and administered by criminal organizations who are engaged in profit-seeking, them doing it for money, to get money. And because it is illegal activity, when people get in their way, they can't go to police and argue and report them like you would if you were engaged in legitimate activity. So they take the law into their own hands and try to wipe out their competitors and other things. But this is not 300,000 people doing this.
Yes.
You understand? The leading elements, I don't think, amount to 1,000. That if you take them out, and by which I mean gather cases, put together a team that seeks out the major people who are doing this, seeks out the major people who are engaged in gun running, gathers intelligence and then converts the intelligence to evidence and bring court cases in relation to these folks, that you will get a return on it. You know?
As a former national security minister, you don't think you have something to offer, and you know, would you? I don't think I have to ask it. I think you would be willing to offer what you have. I'm talking about knowledge. But have you been approached and have you sought to offer what you know and the assistance to this national effort?
Well, put it this way, whenever asked and whenever I can assist, I love my country and would do all I can to assist in any national effort, irrespective of the political authorities in charge at the time.
Okay. I want to switch gear a little to more into the politics. Over the weekend, I heard you calling on the youth to get involved or to get more active in politics.
Yeah.
You know, what influenced that thought at this time?
Well, you know, when I think of, and I think you can relate to it, but when I think of the spirit that affected my generation 50 years ago and more,
yes,
when you know, Walter Rodney was around, when we as university students at the time protested the banning of Walter Rodney and became very, very active in public life.
yes,
as a youth movement. People like Paul Miller, just deceased,
yes,
advocated for the right of 18-year-olds to vote on the principle that if you could be called upon to fight war and be recruited into the army, you should have a right to vote and to decide on national issues. There was a general feeling among
Louis Castruta comes to mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of people, and he's just deceased. A lot of people of that time, you know, Maxine and Wilson was a young student coming out of high school. There was a sense that people believe that our own individual fortunes were going to be affected by what happened to our country. That if Jamaica was to move forward and make progress, all of us as individuals would be making progress. And that Jamaica had the capacity, if we all put our minds to it, to become a better place than it was and to achieve progress. I am deeply concerned when I look at the way in which so many of our citizens are withdrawing from the political process, even at its most basic level. That is to say, willing to go out to vote, not to mention their willingness to engage in the national debate and to participate in the political life on whatever side they would choose, PNP, JLP, other parties, because every country must have, just by the nature of the world, must have a political order.
Of course it is, Dr. Phillips.
Abandon the political order, then you're leaving it open for all kinds of people, some negative, to take it over. Scoundrels will run in if good people don't hold the line and take part.
You're perfectly right, but I'm putting it to you that the process will have to cleanse itself of some of the political scoundrels who are now inside and have been invading the politics over the decades.
Well, I would say two things about that. The process won't cleanse itself. People have to cleanse it. So people have to go in, the good people have to go in and push out the bad ones. And and they need assistance. I'm not saying just them alone. But it emphasizes the point, a point I've always made, that, the real defense of democracy is good, trustworthy, effective security forces. If you find corrupt public officials, it's going to depend on good security forces and a good justice system to bring them to justice. If you find corrupt politicians, it's going to require the same. If you're going to find people in the justice system that can be corrupted, you need to have investigative authorities to do it. The country doesn't belong to political parties. The country belongs to the people of the country.
You're right.
And the people of the country have to accept ownership of the country.
Yes.
And step up to do what they need to do. We, as a generation in my time, we thought and we made our political choices. Others made different political choices. People we went to school with, some chose the Labour Party, some chose the PNP. But, throughout it all, despite some tough and difficult times, we ended up being able to cooperate and communicate and collaborate. I obviously could have and should have done better as a generation, but we can't give up on the country, and I am hopeful that the generation now, which seems to take the line that I'm only too many of them, that they really are concerned only with their own individual interests, will learn the essential lesson that was said by the poet John Donne years ago. No man is an island.
No man is an island, yes.
But cannot deal with
Dr. Phillips, unfortunately, the political generation, the political actors before, now, what they failed to do was you talk about strong security forces. We failed to build a strong security force with integrity and training that could tackle these practices. Hence we find that politicians and those who wield power get away with breaching the laws, and ordinary people sit and watch these things, and then that's how the system has lost credibility.
There are, but throughout the history of the country, at the critical junctures, what I have seen is the ordinary people come off the sideline and insist that justice be carried out.
Yes.
And I am saying, tough as it is, there is no option but for that. I agree with everything you have said. What should have been done in the past needed to have been done.
Yeah.
It wasn't done. But then how you going to do it? It's like you have a youth and him not study for exam and him fail.
Yeah.
You have to tell him, well, he must go take the exam again.
Yeah.
And that he needs to study this time and work with him. Got to it,
Yeah.
There is no option. It's a tough, rough road. But many countries have gone through roads even more difficult than ours. People have faced invasions and world wars and other things. Look at what's happening in Ukraine now.
Right now.
And you have to stand up, and if you believe your country is worth it, if it means something to you, then you have to stand up and defend it.
Of course. And Rebel Radio, I can assure you, will assist that process. But tell me something. I have been advocating two things. One, or many things, but one. I think public officials, and emphasize now with the politicians, should declare their assets before they enter into politics. And I think it would be a good thing. For example, if I am running my successful business, driving my Benzes and my Lexus and my BMWs, when I enter politics, I am entering with those things already. So therefore, when you see me in my Benzes, you are not afraid. But what we have now is that we have a situation where you have politicians 2.5 meals away from poverty, going entering politics, and within a short time they have a vast quantity of assets. Now, where did all of that come from? An MP salary is about $347,000 per month.
The truth is, I hear rumors, and I believe there is a big push in some circles for greater transparency from the Integrity Commission. But, I mean, for all of this talk about politicians gathering a whole heap of money, I know a lot of politicians who are really living on the edge, really having a hard time to make ends meet, and doing their thing, and many get a bad name. The many get a bad name, I suspect, for the few. And what you really need is a justice system that don't deal with so much reporting, but deals more with investigation of the corrupt and bringing them to justice. And quite frankly, I think we justifiably can be concerned with the pace of prosecution of some of the persons who appear to be impeached.
Yes.
I mean, people found with tens of millions of dollars of cash, and yet you can't find a case being brought to the court.
Yes.
You have people who have been accused of hundreds of millions of dollars of illicit procurement of public funds, and the cases are just being tied up in delay after delay after delay after delay. All of these things break down people's confidence.
Absolutely.
In the justice system, and break down people's confidence in the political process too.
Yeah.
And, again, I think that, having active civil society voices and there's no substitute for it. As I said, don't leave it to the country. Don't belong to political parties. The country belongs to the people of the country.
I agree with you.
Everybody should get involved.
I asked Senior Superintendent Lindsay this question while she was on before you. Do you think able-bodied citizens should be people who have good characters should be harmed? In other words, should they have access to gun licenses?
Well, so your question is whether people should be armed?
Yes.
People apply, I think, to be armed, then it's up to the licensing authority to make a judgment. I don't think we have a constitutional situation of a right to be armed.
Yes.
But, I think that if there is a good case made out, then there shouldn't be an obstacle placed in the way. Yeah. Part of what is happening, though, in the country is that a lot of people who are armed, and there is a tendency to misuse the arms, and a tendency to just for everybody to be against everybody else.
Yes,
we need to be able to gather in large numbers to watch football or watch cricket or go to that dance or just walk on the street without having to fear for gunfire and mayhem breaking out.
Yes, of course, sir.
We need to learn the lessons of being each other's keeper. Yes. The majority of Jamaicans are each other's keeper.
Yes.
But we have to clearly identify those who just are intent on causing mischief.
Right.
And I'm saying that. And it's going to take a great effort, to kind of change out the mentality from in the schools to create, community life and solidarity in our communities, in our inner cities, as well as in rural areas, and create this kind and move us away from the feeling where every Jamaican look at the other Jamaican as a potential enemy and as somebody who wants to cut him down in life.
Yes,
It can't go forward like that as a country.
yes. And, most people will agree that the PNP has been the party. Well, it has a record of being a party of ideas. But what can be done, or what you see from your perspective is needed to resurrect the party from, the slumber that it's in now?
I am the wrong person for you to be asking now.
Yeah.
I think that you must ask those questions of the current leadership and in the movement. But as I said, I believe there needs to be a rebirth of the national movement.
Okay.
And it's really going to involve effort and hard work.
Yes.
And not just, the purpose is to transform the country, not just to be concerned about elections and seeking of power, but a real process of national political education, street by street, lane by lane, corner by corner, schoolroom by schoolroom, church hall by church hall, to reach out to people and see if we can reignite this love of country and willingness to participate in national life.
But as somebody who sat at National Hero Circle for part of your career, what the sort of economic hardship that the people are going through now? What is your take? I'm not asking you for a solution, but
the world as a whole is going through a pretty rough time.
Yes.
The world as a whole. I mean, if you look at what is happening, I mean, from Sri Lanka recently, Pakistan obliterated by floods and bankrupt at the same time. The Zambia and other countries on the African continent going into IMF programs, because what has been happening with worldwide inflation coming out of the pandemic, the interruption of supplies and commodities generally, the war in Ukraine making all of this worse, the general increase of interest rates in the effort to control inflation is really leaving countries, and some of them in the Caribbean, very exposed to the difficulties. In a sense, I think Jamaica has to count itself, in some respects, fortunate that level of debt exposure is not as it was.
Right.
Because it would be a very difficult time. But yes, we need to find ways to relieve the pressure and to see what growth can be secured and to support particularly small businesses and to keep the progress going forward in critical areas like education. I think that the great task of to be learned as we head into the next 60 years of national life is to find those things around which we can all cooperate and collaborate as a nation. And education must be the paramount task, because it is our people are our greatest resource.
Right,
and if we are able to educate the generations coming, then we can probably look forward to a better future.
Yeah. But before you go, I would have to show this. You name out a number of countries a while ago, but I wonder if you observed that the G8, the traditional G8 or G7 countries, are not going through, they are not feeling what I call the pangs of hell. You observe that?
I don't know. England, Britain is in a deep crisis of an inflation rate running into 20%.
Yeah.
Is a great problem. People can't meet their meet their costs. Germany is facing great problems with its energy economy, forced to nationalize oil refineries and others, and still looking to winter and what is going to happen. The United States is probably the least affected in all of this, but yeah, all through Europe, I mean, you have Italy facing a deep crisis, which is manifesting in a political crisis. No, I think that, all over the world, there is slow growth, but there's no doubt, you are correct, that the harshest impact is on the poorer developing countries, you know.
Yes.
But that's the way of the world, you know. I mean, the truth is, we can engage in national politics, we can plead, but I have always said, you know, I mean, we have to learn to row our own canoe because nobody is really going to come and give you a free lunch. It's just not happening.
Yes, Dr. Phillips. And I'm sure you're mourning the passing of the Queen.
How?
Are you mourning the passing of Queen Elizabeth?
I think the period of mourning has passed. I think we just have to, you know, I mean, all these things to me are just sideshows.
Okay.
We have to get on to developing our country and dealing with it.
Okay. Dr. Phillips, I want to thank you very much for joining us on Rebel Radio. And we want to, the door is open for you to, share your knowledge with the Jamaican people. Thank you very much. Yes, yes, sir. That was former National Security Minister, Leader of Opposition, Dr. Peter Phillips. This is Rebel Radio.
But you get HIV status, well. So keep your life trending, no pretending. Me, I tell yourself you do it for you. Every time you are link with a condom, coulda house, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Condom connect and protect your profile. Be your own fan, do it for your best life. Do it for your best life. Well, don't put yourself at risk. Condom connect every time. Do it for your best life. Well.
Keep we island clean, so clean. From the beach to the beach, so clean. No dirty of Jamaica, please don't do it. Keep we island clean, so clean. From the beach to the beach, so clean. No dirty of Jamaica, please don't do it.
No dash, no paper, no dash, no plastic. Dispose your garbage responsibly. No know how to recycle, learn it quick. And if you drop it, better pick up every piece of it. Plastics last forever, don't forget the bits. Cause when them touch the street, them end up in at the sea. Collect pan the reef where they fish them feed. And when you want seafood, I eat your
Keep
eat.
island clean, so clean. From the beach to the beach, so clean. No dirty of Jamaica, please don't do it. No dirty of Jamaica, no dirty of Jamaica, no dirty.
Yes. Welcome back to Rebel Radio, live from our studios in Rockfort in East Kingston. And right about now, we are going to turn our attention to talking investment. And we are going to be exploring some investment channels with real estate developer John Richards of the Universal Mortgage Company Limited. Brother John, are you there?
How are you, sir?
Well, I am supposed to be okay. How are you?
Well, I am here fighting for survival, sir.
I'm glad to know that, sir. Very glad to know that. Yes.
Yes.
Now, as we a while ago, we were talking to the former Minister of National Security and Crime and lots of social issues. And one of the big social issues facing the country is a lack of housing. And I I happen to know that you have some big plans to address that issue. You tell us about some of your plans for housing development in the country.
Well, sir, I am in the housing business and I was 12 years old, you know.
Okay.
I was in the housing business when I was 12 years old, and I continued to work and work and work until I go away to foreign countries. And I work in foreign countries to create a lot of housing for people all over America. And I come back to Jamaica now, and I want to do the same thing.
Yes.
So what I have done, I have built up a land bank across Jamaica to build affordable houses, middle-income house, and high-end houses. So we have property from here, Westmoreland, come around to St. Elizabeth, come right back around to Red Hills. Then we have land now out of where Richmond Estate is, above Richmond Estate.
That is in the Garden Parish? Yes. That's a Garden Parish. Right?
Yes,
right. No, I was just saying that you have land in the Garden Parish, St. Anne.
Yes. I have land. We have over 240 acres and 1 acre. And we buy up the surrounded land and around the 240 acres.
Yes, sir.
Our land is a very great piece of land. It's overlooking Richmond Estate.
Mm-hmm.
And also overlooking the sea. From Henry Center straight back to Ocean.
Okay. And you tell us some of the plans for housing you have done for St. Anne.
Well, the area where we have here, we have 2 parts of the land. One part of the land, what we're going to give the name Free Royal Country Club. That one, we are building houses for affordable houses for the people of Jamaica.
Yes.
The one what look over Richmond Estate, the 240 acres. We already have that one moved from agriculture to residential.
Yes.
And now we are trying to plan now to build some beautiful townhouses. We are following the pattern of Richmond Estate. I can tell you something. Is a God blessing man who died, Mr. Eddie Siago.
Yes.
He's a very God blessing man. People in Jamaica may talk bad about Eddie Siago, but he's a very good man, very good of heart.
Yes.
The man called me one morning and come to my side. Could even walk good at that point. But when he carried his lost wife and his lost daughter down there, then we leave from there and go back down to Richmond Estate.
Mm-hmm.
And he go and talk to his friend them down there. And he go back down there and talk to people on Woolwich and Estate. He asked them one question. He said to them, where that land is located on the hill above you people, what do you think about it? And the big man who the whole Richmond Estate said, the greatest fool could not lose money where that land situated.
So you are sitting on a gold mine, John?
Yeah. So therefore, then I start to bring other people like Philip Powell, Paul Burke, Angela Brown Burke, the all of them.
Yes.
Down there. Even Delroy Chuck.
Yes.
And his wife and others go down to the site.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody who go down there love the property.
Right.
So what we have done now, we have created like them same size of Richmond following the advice of Mr. Seattle.
Right.
Richmond housing, like them is 5,000 square foot, bigger than Gores and New Era and all those people lots.
Yes.
Their lot size, but it's in affordable houses, and it's 4,000 square foot. Our land down there is cut into 5,000 square foot, the same thing like Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be fully gated. Everything in Richmond is going to go up on my land, palm trees, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Coconut trees and mango trees, and going to go up on my land.
Okay.
So that is what we are doing down there. So we are creating a little bigger house and Richmond Estate House.
Yes, sir.
Richmond Estate House is 1,460 square foot, land size 5,000. We are building houses between 1,500 to 1,600 square foot.
Yes.
Because I was a meeting down at Richmond Estate with a lawyer, and what was the complaint? The people themselves is two bathroom. So I'm creating 2.5 bathroom, bigger room size, living room size, and everything like that for the people. And selling at the same money.
Wow.
What they're selling.
Wow.
And of the most beautifulest and nicest overlook, right? Up there at night time, when it comes to about 7:38,
Yes.
you have to draw for your blanket.
Wow. Climate
That's
is
how
lovely.
beautiful it is.
Yeah. And you are just about an hour and a half from Kingston using the highway.
Well, when we are driving down here, I don't drive with my young son them.
Yeah.
I don't drive fast.
Okay.
So what I do is when I drive fast, I will make nice on them, so then cut down on the speed.
Right.
So we take 1 hour to go down.
Yeah.
From where the land is, when you come on the highway and come to Richmond, it's about another 10 minutes
Yes.
up. Now 15 minutes from the General Hospital down there, surrounded by schools and 15 minutes down about and all those things. So it's right at that area, but with one of the most beautifully looking over.
Right, sir.
And I went back in and moved the land again from agriculture to residential, 40 acres again, and cut up that. Get it done by a commission land surveyor, send it and get it approved, then come back, send it down to survey department. When to survey department, pass by survey department, then we move on to ready for title, 40 acres.
Yes.
Those I cut those from 2 acre right back up to 12 acre.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I have done that, because those big lots now, I can use them to put apartment building, townhouses, the same size like Richmond and more.
Yes.
That is what we intend to build here.
Mm.
So that is what we intend to build into that area. What we are also want to do, we're looking for land all about now.
Yes.
And we have a lot of land in Lindsay and other places, in Westmoreland and places.
Yes.
We intend to create a land bank of affordable houses.
Right.
Now, affordable houses, what they are building for the people, I think that we can do better by building affordable houses for the people.
Yeah.
Some people giving them 4,000, 3,000, whatever different square foot of land.
Yeah.
We want to give them 5,000 square foot of land and more.
Right, right.
And we want to build a better house for them.
Right, right.
Our affordable houses then is not the 700 and something square foot, or 800 square foot, or 850 square foot.
Okay.
We designed a plan with one of the best architects in Jamaica I know. And Michael Giles.
Yes.
And he did a drawing for us for 942 square foot houses for affordable. And that is our brand. And those are the type of houses we are going to build. If we are going to build them in town houses, we're starting from 942 square foot right up to 1,200 square foot.
Right.
Is what we are building. So what we are doing, we are looking out for the people of Jamaica.
Yes, yes.
Looking out for the people of Jamaica because we love the people and the people love me.
So
I can go into any area in Jamaica and build. I mean, I have to worry about no bad man, no good man, or whosoever. Once I see the company side, me and everybody are fine.
So, John, tell me something. Have you settled on prices yet? For example, if I want an acre of land down by Runaway Bay there, I mean, how much money should I have?
All right. What we have done, we have looked at the prices of the land which is selling in the area surrounding my land. And when I look on one plantation village down here, what is right beside Richmond Estate, they are selling their lot for 100, a quarter acre, $110,000. US.
Okay.
Everything down that area is that.
Yes.
So if you're talking about 1 acre of land, you would talk about 440,000 US
Wow.
for 1 acre of land, right?
Yes.
Now, I would not sell, although my land is more prime than them land, I would not sell anybody an acre of land for that price.
Yes.
I will go down in that price.
Right.
Person can come in and discuss with me. I use that price and I goes down lower for my people in Jamaica. It works if the person is an investor and want to buy a piece of my land to put up some apartment building or townhouse. Once them putting up the real thing. When I say the real thing, I'm putting up a beautiful thing for the people of Jamaica.
Yes.
I cut down on my price for those people that they can make money.
Uh-huh.
Meanwhile, we are making money too.
Right, right. And providing housing for the people.
Yes, I'm providing housing for the people.
What are you? I understand that you have land in St. Elizabeth too.
Yes, I bought a property in St. Elizabeth. Which is 160 units on that land. We cut the size of the land them a little above what the ordinary people cut in the land, 6,000 square foot, right?
Yes.
And so we cut up that land. The land is 7 minutes from the town of Santa Cruz.
Yes.
Approximately about 15 minutes to 18 minutes to the big hospital there.
Yes.
What they have down there.
Yes.
In Mandeville.
Right.
I look for those things when I'm buying land.
Yeah.
And then close to the town, and houses already built around them.
Right.
I surprised last week. I drive down there, and I go down there to build some $15 million to 16 million houses for my people, and 6,000 lots. Them. And I drive around the corner, and I see them building the same 2-bedroom and selling them down there for $27,500,000.
Wow.
I was so surprised.
Yes.
Right. And from my land to the main road is 3 minutes.
Yes.
And it's a very, very clean and pretty road.
Right.
From out there, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And from there, it takes the other rest of minutes to go into the town area.
Uh-huh. So I can see, John, that your aim and objective is to make it possible for as many Jamaicans as possible to own a piece of the rock.
Well, what I intend to do, sir, and what I intend to do for my people in Jamaica, we have a property out into, we have a couple property, but one of the property what we have is about 200 in the listed area.
Yes.
We have a property which is about 250 acres out there.
Uh-huh.
I intend to, people say I'm crazy, but I want to help my people in Jamaica. We intend to cut up that land and give 1/4 acre land to my own Jamaican people with a house on it, 2-bedroom house, 1 bathroom, or 2-bedroom house, 2 bathrooms. These are what they can afford. And give them between $10 and $12 million with 1/4 acre land.
Yes. Wow.
1/4 acre land, I want to give that. I want to set that as an example for my people.
Yes. That is revolutionary thinking in the housing sector, John. And so if you have that as one of your objectives, that will be something that I think a lot of people are going to welcome that.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
There's a lot of people looking land. Okay?
Yeah.
A lot of people looking land. But the developer in Jamaica has to start to think how they treat Jamaican people.
Yes.
Many of them come here and because they may have a little colored over us, like white or Chinese or whatever. What they are doing, they are not treating the Jamaican people in the right and proper order.
Uh-huh.
When I say the right and proper order, they will come here and they will build some little small houses and they will give the people some little small lots.
Uh-huh.
And then everybody wants to buy from them. The next thing I want to say to you, if you're a black person in Jamaica and been building and you're a developer, any trade you have, you have to wash it out. Because everybody wants to send every black man to prison at Jamaica.
Yes.
No matter who you is. You have to be very careful. Those men can come from all over the world and come here. And in a matter of months and days, they're selling houses for all type of price. I see one who come here. When he come here, I'm not going to call on him. I help him well. And I hear he go to housing trusts to collect $8 billion.
$8 billion?
No, $8 billion.
Yes.
And when he come here, he live in a one little house out of Spanish Town in Uncle Parkway. I just build a little house. And nobody try, but if a Jamaican is out here and supposed to deliver a house, say in 3 months and 4 months, a police station they run down to.
Yes.
But when the white man them come here, they come here with nothing. And when they're leaving with billions of dollars going back to their country.
Yes, yes.
And a time for that type of situation to cut out in Jamaica.
Yes. So, John, tell me something. How is it? How difficult it is or easy it is to find financing for these projects that you have on your joint board?
How difficult it is?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to tell you something. There is some rules and regulation with land in Jamaica. Rules and regulation, which is set out by the Jamaican government, right? One, if you buy a piece of land, you have to go in if the land is a commercial land already, a residential land. You have to go in and ask the government to change the land from residential, change it from you have to go in and say, I'm now going to build. So I am going to now change it now from agriculture to residential.
Yes.
Right? Then you do that now. Then you have to carry your engineer, your commission land surveyor. Everybody have to come in. If they don't like it, then I'll change the land from agriculture to residential.
If they don't like you?
If they don't like you, say somebody against you.
Yes.
That land never going to change. No. If they even want to change it, it's going to take years to change it.
Okay.
But those other persons we're talking about, I'm not prejudiced.
Yes.
Because some of my family is white too.
Right.
I mean to say I'm not prejudiced.
Yeah.
But I am telling you how it goes.
Right.
So now it will take a good time for it to change it, a good time for the surveyor to do the work, to send it into the government for the stamp and approval
yes.
of the development.
Mm.
Okay. Then when you get that stamp and approval, now you're going to find finance. A whole lot of people come overseas, come here, some of them have 100 million, 500 million, they don't have a dollar. Lie them at them. When they come here now, they have you now spinning around like an idiot.
Yes.
Right? And then you spin around until you say they have this and that money. And when they're going back, they don't have a dollar to pay to go back a foreign.
Uh-huh.
So they have it here for days and for days and for days. Now, if you go to the commercial bank, they must know you. If you're a black man, you have to be well known before they will lend you any money as a black man to do any development. The banks them in Jamaica.
Yes.
Now the buyers them, the people who buy, they are decent and good people. They only want to know that you can able to deliver when you say you're going to deliver a house across Jamaica.
Right.
Our house is in big demand.
Right.
So the buyers them is very decent people. No matter where they come from, them decent.
Right.
But the banks them in Jamaica not going to help you. They're going to ask for the great grandmother name.
Yeah.
And when you go with the great grandmother, ask the greater one.
Yeah.
Before they will help as a black man to develop yourself into the country Jamaica.
Wow. All your thoughts there, John. We are talking to developer John Richards, who has a big plan to develop housing in Jamaica and his houses in Jamaica.
Well, I have a big plan to develop houses in Jamaica, which I want to do.
Right.
But I have to take it another way. I have to try my best to start from the small number going up.
Yes, sir.
Because according to the amount of land what I have, if I start to put, I have land can build 2,000 houses one time.
Yes.
In prime area.
Yes.
But when you talk about the investors, them now, well, I think the Jamaican investors, them is a little better than the foreign one that come here.
Yes.
They're better than all of them. They're better than the Chinese people that come here.
Yeah.
The Chinese people, them come and I come for help nobody. When I come up first, I want to know what you have. How much money you have to put in something. All the time I talk about Chinese people come here and build up people and build up nobody but themselves.
Yes. Yes.
So the local bank, if they're willing to help you, they will help you. And the people of Jamaica, if they're willing to work with you, they will work with you 100%.
Yes. Yes.
But I have land and build hundreds of houses.
Yes, sir.
But but we needed help. But by the power of God, we'll move you.
Okay. Well, we are talking to developer John Richards, and he's telling us about his plans to grow houses in Jamaica, which are in great demand. This is Rebel Radio, and I'm Desmond Richards.
Adults to 30 minutes activity daily. Love your body, treat your body right. Vegetables, make sure you eat plenty. Children do 60 minutes activity daily. Drink some water when you feel thirsty. Cut down dessert and have a smoothie. Jamaicans, love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Just eat right. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. One more time now. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Just eat right. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right.
We're talking to developer John Richards. John, yes, I want to give you the final word. You have been talking to us, telling us about your plans, but I'm giving you the final word now to, just top it off.
Right. Okay. My final word to you.
Yes, sir.
About development.
Yes, sir.
The name of our company is Universal Mortgage Company Limited.
Yes.
We are a general building contractor / developer. I'm in the business from I'm 12 years old with my father, building from Trenchtown days, Coville Garden, coming back when those high-rise building was putting up at St. Joseph Teachers College, off Hope Road, all over the places. The building behind the bank, down a Hero Circle, that was Workers' Bank. My father was a hero.
Yes, sir.
Was a hero in the building.
Right.
So I come to carry out the trade for my father,
right,
and to make sure that I build a large amount of house before I leave this planet here for my poor people.
Yes.
My mind is more on my people more than anybody else in the world.
John, I want to thank you very, very much for participating in our program, and the door is wide open. I'm sure I'm going to have you back on this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richard. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. And I want to say to all the people that out there that we love you. I always be friends. All I know, I'm a friend. Everyone.
This is
John Poor. I'm a friend.
This is Rebel Radio.
Thank you.
Wanted to share what you know about a crime, but were too afraid? At Crime Stop, we make it easy for you to report on crimes safely and 100% anonymously. All it takes is 4 simple steps. First, contact the tip line at 311 or visit www.crimestop.org or www.311tips.com. Then share what you know anonymously with one of our trained counselors counselors. Any information related to criminal activity is accepted. We don't want to know your identity. We don't record calls or use star 69. And there is no way of tracing tips over the phone or online. You'll also be given a file number for your tip. Next, track the progress of your tip by calling our tip line at 311 and quoting your file number. Finally, if your tip leads to success, you will be eligible for a cash reward. Rewards will be paid out upon request through a trusted disbursement agency with verification process to ensure that your identity remains hidden. Share what you know anonymously.
Do it for your best life, wait. Go check your HIV status, wait. So keep your life trending, no pretending. Me I tell yourself it, do it for you, do it for you. Every time you are link with a condom, coulda Uzi, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Condom connect and protect your profile. Be your own fan, do it for your best life. Do it for your best life, wait. You don't put yourself at risk. Condom connect every time. Do it for your best life, wait.
Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it.
No dash, no paper, no dash, no plastic. Dispose your garbage responsibly. No know how to recycle, learn it quick. And if you drop it, better pick up every piece of it. Plastics last forever, don't forget the bits. Cause when them touch the street, them end up in at the sea. Collect pan the reef where they fish them feed. And when you want seafood, I eat your
Keep the island clean, so clean. From the beach to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. No dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica.
With a message to you from myself and the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Shenyang, everyone see wear a mask where the numbers drop. I don't want COVID, lay you down flat. Nose and mouth to pick cover up that. Oh oh, oh oh, sanitizer, get hospitalized. Fight the virus, and fight for your life, yeah. Nobody talk about say you no response no more. Don't be reckless, cause you just say you not happy. You can still get the virus from somebody. Don't be reckless, cause you just say you not happy. You can still get the virus. So keep the numbers down, protect yourself and the people around. COVID in town, 6 feet apart and 6 feet in a ground. Keep the numbers down, protect yourself and the people around. COVID in town, 6 feet apart and 6 feet in a ground. Stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive.
Three, two more, 1, 2. Adults to 30 minutes activity daily. Love your body, treat your body right. Vegetables, make sure you eat plenty. Children do 60 minutes activity daily. Drink some water when you feel thirsty. Cut down dessert and have a smoothie. Jamaicans, love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Just eat right. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. One more time now. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Just eat right. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Listen up. Make sure you know your health status. Go a doctor and get a regular checkup. Chronic disease can slowly creep up. We can lower the risk and live up if we just eat right and get moving. Jumping, running, dancing or skipping. Change the children, them lazy habit. Make them play out the door and put down the tablet. Jamaicans, love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Just eat right. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Jamaica get moving. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Just eat right. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. After 2, make me hear you say I love me. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. After 2, make me hear you say I love me. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Jamaicans, love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Just eat right. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. One more time now. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Just eat right. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Jamaica get moving. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Just eat right. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. One more time now. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Just eat right. Love your body, treat your body right. Love your body, treat your body right. Listen up. Love your body, treat your body right.
This is Rebel Radio. Welcome back. And, we have been having some stimulating discussions about from crime to housing and how we are going to deal with these social issues. And now we would like to turn our attention to how we are going to provide food for the nation, Jamaica and the rest of the world right now. And I'm focusing mostly on the smaller countries. We are in a precarious position because the war in Ukraine, the cost of living, high prices going up. I wonder what Jamaica is doing. Let me hear what agricultural scientist Dr. Omer Thomas has to say on this. Good evening, Omer.
Good evening.
Yes.
Good evening to your listeners.
Yes. And Omer, how are we going to deal with this situation? I mean, we can't just sit and fold our arms.
No, we cannot. And we need to have some deliberate policies in order to forestall any negative fallout.
Yes.
And those deliberate policies are, I believe, being developed. And they were being developed for many, many, many years, but we can't see what the end product is.
Uh-huh.
Though, if we speak to many persons who are so inclined in the agricultural sector, they are addendum with certain basic principles. And those basic principles are for us to recognize that we need to grow what we eat and eat what we grow.
Mm-hmm.
And to elaborate that, they believe that we need to discourage the willingness of persons to seek profit margins and to develop their wealth by seeking to undermine our efforts to produce while they go ahead and try to import what they have outside.
So that is happening, Omer?
That is happening. Because you can't tell me that for decades we have developed the technology for producing onions for ourselves.
Yes.
But yet today we are still importing 95% of the onion that we eat.
But is it a case that the farmers are not producing enough to meet demand?
But the farmers are not producing enough because the enabling environment is not there to support that.
Okay. So when
we're speaking of the enabling environment,
yes,
Desmond, I'm talking about matters relating to how do we finance food production? Do we have the financial institutions in the country who are willing to understand that producing food carries certain risks that they need to take into consideration when they are developing their financing portfolio?
Uh-huh.
They do not wish to take any risk at all. They are lumping agriculture and food production in the same level as if you're importing panty and brassiere and pigtail and saltfish to buy and sell.
Oh, yes. So
and the same countries that you are buying these things, pigtail and saltfish and those kind of things and onions from abroad, those people, those farmers, they have the same level of risk that we have too.
Yes. But
we are not prepared.
Omer, how are we going to? I see another factor here. How do we change centuries of, taste that we have developed from imported food? For example, saltfishes, Haki and saltfish is our national dish, right? And you know that some of the taste for some of these food are generations, centuries old. So don't you think?
But remember,
yes.
Remember, we don't do saltfish here, eh?
No.
So obviously, if we are going to depend on a particular input into our national dish that is not produced locally, which is the mistake anyhow.
Yes.
Right? When we definitely would have to continue to do so. Okay? Until we change the composition of our national dish.
Right.
But that is only one aspect of things, sir. We can't grow everything that we eat, We can't.
Right.
Good. So, the things that we cannot grow by virtue of the environment that we have and the little technology that we don't have, those things we need to import, the ones that we can't grow.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones that we can grow are many, and those are the ones that are prominent in our staples.
Yes, sir.
There's no reason why we should not be growing Irish potato to satisfy our domestic demand.
Yes.
At one time, we were somewhere around 95% of satisfying our domestic demand.
Uh-huh.
But that was to the dissatisfaction of the suitcase people who wish to import and sell to make quick profit.
Yes.
And the policy makers have sidestepped the real issue and allow for these things to happen.
Yes. For example, you pointed...
The other crop that we are looking at, okay, that we can grow to satisfy our local demand, and we have been neglecting the whole matter of how we organize and coordinate the production. Is that of the onion, the same onions we spoke about earlier?
Yes, right.
Okay? And if you allow these suitcase people, gray-suited men who carry suitcase around the place and knock on the door of the powerful people, they will want to import sweet potato too. Bananas, which we were dominant in for decades, and we led export market internationally in this particular product. We are almost importing bananas now to make basic banana chips.
No, that is something that has to be dealt with, man.
And in the same way, we are talking about Desmond. I don't like to say that under the colonial government we were able to a certain level of certainty.
Yes.
Right? And then comparing with what happens now. But at least those persons were selfish enough to ensure that the production structures were in place in Jamaica to ensure and assure the raw material demand that they need in their countries abroad. Why can't we do the same thing for Jamaica?
Yeah. Yes, I see.
The production structures have been broken down.
Yes, of course.
The production structure, no new production structures are being built to ensure and assure the environment that we need to produce the bananas and the Irish potato and the onions.
But the $1 billion that we are spending annually on imported food, Omer, that is not sustainable, man.
It is. it is not sustainable, especially in a situation when you have economic turmoil and other activities, other turndown in the economy due to wars and other things internationally. Then we suffer.
Yes.
We will suffer. But going back to the matter of the production structures, the time has come for us to ask the questions of the people who are put in charge. Where are we? They are putting in, Desmond, I think, I don't know if it's $200 million or $300 million per year in what you call a production incentive program.
Yes.
Where they give this money to farmers every year as production incentive. And to me, that policy is a failure.
Because we are not seeing the results from that.
We are not seeing the results. And the moment, if you put out $300 million or $400 million per year to enhance production or in the form of production incentive, and if next year you come up with the same $300 million, if you don't have that, then the production falls. Where is the incentive?
Mm-hmm.
They have, and I believe that it's time for the government to re-examine, have a new look at this production incentive program. Mm-hmm. Because to me, it is throwing money, like throwing water on ducks back.
Wow.
The farmers take the money, or they take the seeds that are purchased with the production incentive money, and they buy the Irish potato seeds. Okay?
Yes.
Sometimes they give onion seeds.
Yes.
They give a little fertilizer. They may give some pesticides. But guess what happens?
No.
If the farmers are not given that money next year, they do not have the money to plant back the crop.
So therefore, what happened to the crops that were subsidized? They don't make any money from that.
That is what I'm saying. If the crop that is subsidized, they should have the funds now to stand on their own for the next season.
Yes.
But that does not happen. Next season, the same farmer who got 50 bags of Irish potato to plant, he comes back for 50 bags next year again. And he comes back for his 3 bags of fertilizer to go with it.
That simply don't make any sense, man.
So that policy is a failure.
Yes.
And that needs to be re-examined.
Yeah. The mega farms, Omer, I think we have to start looking in that. Well, we have started already. But but we have to cut out.
Prime Minister credit, he basically, make mention of that and want people to take it on seriously. Yeah. Mega farms are what will be our savior.
Yes.
Because these mega farms also allow us to benefit from the economies of scale so that people can get food produced that people can afford to buy.
Right. But then what we have to do, we have to put in conditions that you don't lease the best lands, and then you suddenly change gear and want to build houses on them.
Well, that is, you can't do that. You can't bring deception into this process.
Yes.
And to me, if what they're saying in the news around the place that there's a 3-card business going on where now you see me, now you don't.
Yes.
That is something that we cannot countenance at all, and the country should not tolerate that.
Yes.
And anybody who is driving that type of thing or who caused that thing to be happening should be punished.
Yes. Yes,
should be punished without apology. Anybody who supported that type of thing should be punished.
Yes. Omer, are we sufficient in poultry production?
We are no.
But the two big companies should drive increased production there. Why they are not doing that?
Yeah, they should. But you see, there are aspects of this poultry industry which are outside of the control of the Jamaican producers.
Why is that so?
Because we're importing hatching eggs
Mm-hmm.
We do not have the hatcheries that can produce the baby chicks.
So we have to import that.
By the demand of many people. We do not have that.
So we have to import that?
Yes. And we also have to import the feed.
Yes. No, that is a big problem, Omer, because that costs foreign exchange. And with the war, with some of the largest grain producers are now involved in hostile activities, war. That will certainly pose a problem for the importers of grains and all the other thing that is needed to feed animals.
Yes. But you know that the demand for poultry products in Jamaica is extremely high.
Yes.
Right? And it is not for the lack of trying. And I think the policy directions of the government is in the right place.
Yes.
To support that, to get, but we need more investment.
Mm-hmm.
We need more investment. And if we had banks that were patriotic enough,
mm-hmm.
we would be having several other small or micro poultry operations that could also be vertically integrated.
Yes. Yes.
No, in Jamaica, we like chicken back and we like other parts of the chicken. And we can't grow enough chicken to extract the chicken back or to extract the chicken wing. Where would we get the market for the other part?
Oh. Yeah.
Where the export market is limited. You see, so where we are with the poultry industry, we could do better, but I believe it is at the point where we could, I would say, a level of acceptability minus a few difficulties that we have been having, where the fair competition law is being flaunted on a daily basis.
Yes. What about eggs and milk and beef and the pork?
Well, we would say that we are self-sufficient in eggs.
Mm-hmm.
But we are nowhere near self-sufficiency in milk. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, it's about 13 million liters of milk we're producing per annum in the country.
Right.
And that represents about 20% of what our demand is.
Yes.
But remember, and for the dairy products and so, our demand for cheese and milk products and so are extremely high.
Right.
And we do not have the local production to match that.
Yes.
Neither do we have the technology to do the conversion into the milk products that we need, that we love so much.
Yes. Well, Omer, this discussion is ongoing because food is the staff of life. And we, as you pointed out earlier, we have to now move in a direction where we can take control of our food production.
And what we need to do, Desmond, if possible, we need to talk to the Minister of Agriculture to understand where are the structures to support our food security.
Certainly.
Where are the structures?
We are going to get him on this program, Omer. We are now coming to the end of the program, and therefore we want to, as usual, say thank you very much for your contribution. And as I said, we have to continue this discussion. We have to, because we cannot wait until we are actually out of food. So, thank you. Good night. Thanks again.
It's my pleasure.
Yes. Well, we have come to the end of our program tonight. I want to say a special thanks to our guests, Senior Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay, Dr. Peter Phillips, former Minister of National Security and Leader of the Opposition, Developer John Richards, real estate developer who has a lot of good plans, and agricultural scientist Dr. Omer Thomas. We want to thank our listeners and our viewers for joining us on Rebel Radio. And until Friday, when we'll be back on the air, stay tuned. Keep listening to Rebel Radio. I am Desmond Richards.